You don't make any apologies. You just continue to do the right thing and pay your blessings forward. Stay humble with who you are. Remind yourself and remind all of those that do still watch what a blessing it is to have you. Remind them that you never are saying, look at me and how great, but instead, look at what you've helped us do. Look at what you've helped us do. This video has gotten very deep, hasn't it? It started off about loading hay, and it turned into anything but. Darn it, and now no one's gonna comment on my amazing hay loading skills. Sheesh, Lester. Thank y'all for joining me. It's always funner and gooder. You already know that. And we'll see you on the next I'm a Survivor video. I'm not going away. You might leave me, but I will never leave you. You got my word on that. Hey folks, Lester here, and this morning I've come out to the hay barn here at the Plum Grove property, and I'm going to be taking some hay over to Longhorn Lester's. I'll tell you why. Let me turn my camera around and I'm going to show you. Well, actually, we have a little problem here. Let me show you this problem before I do anything. How big of a problem will this be? So this here, oh Lord. So this here is going to be our problem. We have a duck and a chicken who are both broody and lying on, well, there goes the chicken. As I start moving hay, now I'm only gonna move 2 rolls. So I should not affect these back rolls at all. But let me show you why I'm moving hay from here and not using it at this property. I'm gonna turn my camera around now, okay? So I want to just kind of highlight and spotlight. I know it's a couple of pastures over, but you can see hay on the ground over there. And guys, we're so blessed. This Plum Grove property is so darn blessed to have amazing grass. It's a Bahia grass. If you know much about your grass types, it's Bahia grass. It's nutritious and it's so darn bountiful. And these pastures are just growing with the most amazing grass ever. Even though we have 4 cows eating on about, I'm just gonna say about 5 acres, which is simple enough of a ratio. 1 acre per cow is your general rule of thumb. There's an abundance of grass out there. And so they're not eating the hay at all. Now, the problem is over at Longhorn Lester's, we don't have the same kind of grass. There's more of a crabgrass. If you know crabgrass, it grows closer to the ground. It doesn't offer near as much nutrition. And so our cows they're eating their grains in the afternoons. They're nibbling on the grass throughout the day, and they're still going to the rolls of hay. So whereas earlier this spring, I thought this all might end up going to waste, it looks like I might end up using it after all. And so I'm taking 2 rolls over today. You guys join me. I'm going to take these first 2 rolls. I should not affect those guys who are laying over there at all. Right now, that one hen's upset with me for getting too close with my camera. And the little duck doesn't know what to think. The little duck doesn't know what to think right now. But I'm going to move some hay. You guys join me. Thought it'd be kind of fun.
I get dirty thoughts about you.
Now, I'm going to show you something that you probably are not going to understand unless you are a person who works with hay. This is part of the edutainment type video that we sometimes joke about. Listen, what would be easiest, let me turn my camera around. What would be the easiest thing to do is to take this first roll of hay, come right here into the back end, and then you would set it down. Now, you can't extend it all the way to the front of the cab, obviously, but you would take your second roll of hay, come by and push your first roll of hay all the way in. And you could, in fact, fit 2, maybe possibly 3 rolls of hay in here by stacking them that way. But now here's the problem. What would happen when I get to the other property and I come by and I stick the first roll of hay and lift it up out of there. But now guess what? The second roll of hay is going to be way up over here, and there's no way to stick it and pull it out. You only have so far, maybe 3 feet of your hay spear, and so that doesn't work. So what you have to do when you're going to move more than one roll is you take your first roll and you pull it to the side. You'll drop it right here, and as you pull your hay spears out, you try at all costs to avoid damaging your vehicle, obviously, but that roll of hay sits here, rolled up this way, like a toilet paper roll sitting this way over here. The second roll of hay, you'll come in and you'll do it normal, the way you normally would from here. So when you get back to the other property, you can stick this one here and move it out, and to get this one over here, you stick it from the side and pull it out. So there's a little bit of science behind it. Fun science.
You are dead to me, 'cause what you said to me cut so deep, and now you're dead to me. Dead to me, you were a friend to me, but I put you to sleep, and now you're dead to me.
So that's the way it looks right there. I'll also say that if my rolls were packed a little bit tighter, you know, Mr. Ed, who does our hay for us, he's not known to really pack the hay very tight. He kind of likes loose rolls. And for whatever reason, that's fine. Mr. Ed's a good man, but it is what it is. If these rolls were packed tighter, I would probably be able to close my tailgate. The thing is, because they're loose, they tend to kind of over time kind of like slump down with the weight of them. It makes them fat, and so I'm not gonna be able to close my tailgate, but it's okay, because listen, with the hay stacked this way, it can't roll out. Now if I only had one roll and it was stuck in there like that, that could roll as I move. As I start driving, the momentum could end up rolling that hay right out of there. You have to strap it down. But being the way I'm going to transport them like this one here can't roll, and that in there can't roll because it has it in there to block it. So win for Lester here. This might be a bit of useless information, but I always leave my hay spear stuck in the next roll of hay. It's easier to have it stuck into the next roll of hay that I'll be using, so that, well, a couple of things. All right, here it goes. Number one, if I need Ben or Ellie to move the hay, it's easier for them to see where the hay spear is at, to align everything up and match up to it when it's sitting already in the hay, than it is for this to be on the ground, because on the ground it sits like this. It sits at an angle. I should have probably shown you that before I stuck it into the hay. But when it's sitting at that funny angle, it's hard to align all of the components together to be able to hook up to it. So whenever I'm done loading hay, just to make it easier on the next guy, I come by and leave my hay spear stuck right over there. You know, let me go ahead, and that made a connection to something to make it easier on the next guy. I've talked about this before, but it's kind of relevant right now. There's been a lot of, I'm just going to say craziness, y'all. There's been a lot of craziness, lots of fear and everything of this entire, I'm just going to say the new management of I'm a Survivor. There have been so many folks who've been supportive, so don't get me wrong. There's a lot of folks who are so excited about seeing new things that are new. Let's just take Jake and Lissa, for example. A lot of folks just are flocking to their page to kind of see the growth of something new. They're seeing the growth of a relationship, the growth of a farm from scratch. They're seeing new fences, addition to the house, new puppy. And a lot of folks love to see that newness. It's the same way with, you know, with Brienne and all that's going on with her and her new house and her kids. And there's a lot of things that people love when something new, they can kind of jump in on board, get it when it's early on. And there's as many people who are super excited about seeing Ellie and Megan make that transition, start learning their way around the farm, start spending more time with the animals, helping his dad out, which is a natural phase of life. Is that at some point, every one of us begin to want to slow down. We want to make our lives simpler and spend more time doing what we want to do. And this is a natural progression of things. And so I am just tickled pink. Okay, that sounds so weird. Lester's not tickled pink, but Lester's super excited about the new phase of my life and how that, change is going to help out Ellie and Megan. It's also going to help out me and Jamie more than what you guys realize. It's going to help out all of the animals. But in saying so, there's a lot of folks that are a whole lot less receptive to that change. We've had, I just can't tell you, countless messages and handwritten letters, emails, comments, people in the comments, and their displeasure with what we're trying to do. It doesn't matter that we're maintaining animals here. It doesn't matter that we're doing all that we can to continue to keep an active role in I'm a Survivor. It doesn't matter that I still sit as the head of the board of the I'm a Survivor committee. It doesn't matter. Everyone has pretty much given up on me and all that has to do with this property. But that's unfortunate because that means you haven't heard a word. It's like I am the Charlie Brown school teacher, and you guys are just hearing what you want to hear or what you need to hear, or you already made up your mind and it is what it is. But Jamie and I are both going to maintain a presence here. We will be here throughout the week, not every single day and not all day, but we will still be spending a lot of time here. Jamie has her garden and her things that she does. I have the things that I do. We have our animals. And so we are going to remain a very active role in I'm a Survivor in this Plum Grove property. But here's the part that I was getting to. My grandmother used to always tell a story. It was called The Bridge Builder. Bridge Builder. And I know that I've mentioned this in a video before, but that is what our role in life is to become bridge builders. So here's how the story goes. There was this fella who would every day travel from his small village into town along with everybody else. He had to, go in and resupply and stock up and whatnot. But after this horrible flood, the bridge, the small bridge to that connected the town to the village was wiped out, just destroyed. And so people had to find other ways to get around. And oftentimes that meant climbing down into the creek and walking across and, wading to the other side and coming back up. But this one fella noticed that every single day this older man, would walk out and he would, on his own, slowly begin to try to build this bridge or rebuild the bridge. And man, it seemed like days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months and months into years. And every time this guy would pass by on his way to town, he'd see that old man over there working just all day, just working on that bridge. And one day it just so happened that the young fella stopped by and he had a chance to talk to the old man. He goes, "Brother, I just got to ask you. I'm just curious." I was like, "Why are you doing this? Like, what's the point? I mean, you've already come to the end of your days. Why would you sit here and toil and just exhaust yourself on building this bridge or rebuilding this bridge?" And the old man didn't have to think much about it at all. He's like, "What I do so that those that come after me will have an easier way than what I did." Now, I've probably got that story all messed up, but I want you to think about that for a minute. And we can all admire the old man for sitting there, going out of his way, working till exhaustion in building that bridge. Even though he's at the end of his years, it's very unlikely he would use that bridge much. But when he explains it, saying, so that those that come behind me, those that come after me, will have an easier way than what, all of a sudden it makes perfect sense to us. Because every one of you, every one of us, anyone who gets up to a certain age in life, I'm going to call it a certain maturity level, knows that your mission, your purpose It does change with time, y'all. And whereas at some point you may have been a hustling and bustling young man or young woman and enjoying life and living life at its fullest, whatever that means to you is different. But at some point you begin to realize that your kids become your focus. And so you live your life serving your children. You live your life a slave to your job. We all got to pay bills. You live your life doing what you have to do for you and then for, to maintain your family. And at some point you get to an age where you realize that from what I do now may not benefit me as much. But man, for those who come behind me, for those that come after me, they're going to have things a whole lot easier. And that is what affirms, it validates who you are as a human. And so in saying so, all of these fences that were built by Jamie and I, and all of the monies that was spent, that was collected and saved from the supporters of the page, the financial supporters, and from the donations, and all of the things that has gone in to making this farm as great and wonderful as it is. All of the videos that have been shot from here that have highlighted and showcased and helped create different animals' personalities. All of that, my friends, has served Jamie and I very well. Built a bridge. We're building bridges. I have a really dear friend in New Zealand who says that, Lester, you've talked a lot. I know it weighs on your mind, the stress and the fact that people are leaving your channel and refusing to go visit the other channel. And it does, it weighs on me. It hurts me. But she reminded me of something. Here's what she reminded me of. She says, Lester, don't forget that when people met you, who they met was a broken man. When people first met you, what they met was a broken man who had nothing, who found himself at a rock bottom. And they watched for 5 years as that man slowly began to rebuild his life. And that rebuild came in, we can sit here and pinpoint all the different things, but let's not do that. But you watched for 5 years a man slowly rebuild his life. And she says then, with the creation of the new channel, which is in fact like a new chapter of your life, they see a man who's living his best life. He's on top of the world. He has beautiful pastures and, able to, use his resources, his money, his financial resources to make his property even more beautiful than what it already is. Immaculate fencing, a grand entrance, animals, ostriches for Christ's sake. And she says, that's not the kind of story that people generally want to follow. People want to follow stories that they can closer relate to. People want to follow stories that they have more in common with. And so for your audience to also, like you always say, we're all survivors of something. For our audience, who we've always said have, we're a group of overcomers. We're a group of people who fight from one day to the next with taking baby steps sometimes to find ways to overcome whatever adversity life has thrown at us. That's what this channel, I'm a Survivor, has become. But Longhorn Lester's not that. She goes, even though you're the same man, people don't like to see the successful stories. And I don't know what to say to that. I think that she's right. I think that she's right. I understand. I also like to root for the underdog. I like to root for the underdog. And so instead of sitting there watching a man and a woman living their best life, there's a lot of folks that says, you know what? I'd rather go find me a new channel of people who are struggling. I know. Lester, take a breath. You're getting yourself all worked up and emotional. Just take a breath. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. All I can do, I think, is quote something that Jamie said. Something that I think that she read. Someone says, okay, fine. You think that I'm too much of a try-hard? Then go find somebody who doesn't try as hard. Maybe you'll find your happier place with someone who doesn't try as hard. Or if I'm too much for you, okay, then go find someone lesser. But I say shame on you. Shame on you for leaving me when I've been there for you every single day for the last 5 years. Haven't missed a day. And you leave me. You don't make any apologies. You just continue to do the right thing and pay your blessings forward. Stay humble with who you are. Remind yourself and remind all of those that do still watch what a blessing it is to have you. Remind them that you never are saying, look at me and how great, but instead, look at what you've helped us do. Look at what you've helped us do. This video has gotten very deep, hasn't it? It started off about loading hay, and it turned into anything but. Darn it, and now no one's gonna comment on my amazing hay loading skills. Sheesh, Lester. Thank y'all for joining me. It's always funner and gooder. You already know that. And we'll see you on the next I'm a Survivor video. I'm not going away. You might leave me, but I will never leave you. You got my word on that.
Don't let your troubles fester. Come watch Longhorn Lester.
Yeah, something like that.